Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into the world of modern crime investigation. But forget what you see on TV. We're not talking about fingerprints or physical evidence. We're talking about a crime that can affect millions of people in a single moment. Okay, let's start with a number that's so big it's kind of hard to even process. 150 million. That's how many records were compromised in just one data breach. So when your crime scene is that huge, and it's completely digital, the investigation that follows is, well, unbelievably complex, incredibly expensive, and absolutely essential. And that really leads us to the big question for today's explainer. When hackers get in, when systems are held for ransom, and when all that customer data gets leaked, a huge investigation has to happen. So who foots that bill? You might be surprised to learn how complicated the answer is.
To really get a handle on the investigation, first we have to understand the crime scene itself. And these days, that crime scene isn't some dusty room. It's the entire digital world. This is not a rare thing anymore. It's a daily threat for businesses of every possible size.
I mean, just look at these stats. If you think this is only a problem for the big guys, think again. Almost every large organization, we're talking 93%, and a huge majority of small businesses, 87%, have been hit. The question is no longer if you'll be a target, it's just when. And the price tag for that when, it can be absolutely ruinous. We're talking up to £850,000 for one incident. And that isn't just the value of the data. That's the cost of having to shut down, the cost of rebuilding trust, and of course the massive cost of the investigation to figure out what went wrong. With costs this high, businesses desperately need a shield. And for centuries, that shield has always been insurance. The whole idea got started by protecting ships on dangerous oceans. But today the most dangerous seas are digital, and the old shields, well, they're full of holes. The concept of spreading out risk is ancient. I mean, we're talking about Chinese merchants doing it back in the 2nd century, all the way up to the birth of modern insurance at Lloyd's of London. We've always figured out ways to protect our physical stuff. But what happens when your most valuable asset isn't physical at all? For a very long time, this was the standard safety net: business interruption insurance. If your factory burned down or your office flooded, this insurance would cover your lost profits and the physical damage. It's a super important tool for the physical world. And here's the critical gap. Your traditional policy might pay to replace your stolen server, but it's not going to do anything about the priceless data that was on it. It protects the box, you see, but not the bits. And that leaves a massive vulnerability wide open. So to close that gap, a brand new tool was needed for the modern investigator's toolkit. Insurance had to evolve, just like it always has, to protect this new type of asset, data, from a totally new type of crime. And that's where cyber liability insurance comes in. This is a policy literally built for the digital age. It's designed specifically to handle the investigation and the financial disaster of a data crime, whether it was an accident or a targeted attack. Now, a data breach is a pretty unique kind of crime because it creates two sets of victims at the same time. There's the company that got hacked, and then there are all the customers whose data just got stolen. A proper cyber investigation has to deal with both of those fronts. So this new type of insurance basically fights a war on two fronts. First-party coverage acts like your shield. It protects your own company. Then you have third-party coverage, which is like your legal armor, protecting you from the claims of everyone you just put at risk. First-party coverage is what helps you get back on your feet. It's what pays to restore your data. It covers the money you lose while you're offline, and it even helps you deal with really scary things like ransomware. All right, now for the other side of it, third-party coverage. This is all about the external fallout. This is what pays for your lawyers, the massive government fines, the digital forensics team, and the cost of telling every single customer that their personal data is now out there. So the crime's happened. The alarm has been raised. What's next? Well, those first hours and days are absolute chaos. And this is the moment where having a plan and the insurance to fund it is the difference between surviving and completely collapsing. And in a crisis like this, speed is everything. New regulations are giving companies as little as 24 hours to report a major breach. You just don't have time to sit down and make a plan. You have to be executing one immediately. And this is what a good policy really unlocks. It's not just a check. It's an entire incident response plan in a box. It immediately funds a forensic team to find out what happened, a PR team to manage the damage, a system to notify customers, and the legal team to handle the lawsuits and fines that are definitely coming. So what should you really be looking for in a policy? Well, this checklist pretty much covers the essentials. You need coverage for your own losses and for the claims against you. You need it to cover you when you're offline, and critically, you need it to provide the experts, the investigators, the PR team, the negotiators, to manage the whole crisis. This all brings us to the future, because as our world becomes even more interconnected, the nature of crime, investigation, and protection is just going to keep evolving at a breakneck pace. The simple truth is this: every new connection we make, every new device we add to the network is basically a new door for criminals to try and open. The risk isn't going away. If anything, it's growing exponentially. And that means having a plan is more critical than ever. And that leaves us with one final big question. We went from insuring ships to insuring buildings to now insuring against digital liability. So, as our data becomes the most valuable asset many companies own, worth more than their offices or equipment, is the next logical step a whole new category? Is just plain data insurance the future of how we protect ourselves?